is. If you have not followed his Triple H Horse Racing podcast, you're missing out. It's one of the best podcasts in the country.
Good evening and welcome to episode 11 of The Leaderboard, sponsored by our good friends at TwinSpires. I am your proud host, Howard Kravitz, along with contest players and co-host Matt Miller and Jackson Muniz, and we are here for episode 11 to discuss the very exciting Lecomte Stakes contest, which had KDBC seats on the line, 5 of them in total, and then discuss this upcoming Saturday's KDBC and NHC qualifier. You don't have a lot of time, ladies and gentlemen, less than 2 months to try to qualify. And that contest, which we'll talk about also, is on Sunday, ladies and gentlemen, Sunday this week, the 25th. And it is going to be covering races from Tampa Bay and Fairgrounds, as of course, TwinSpires makes a very wise choice in my opinion, and does not want to bump in the big day on Saturday for the Pegasus World Cup. Matt, Jackson, good to see both of you. Jackson, I'm going to start with you, my friend. It's been a hot minute since you've been on the show. I know you're a busy guy, a lot of exciting things going on. Welcome back. How you doing? Doing
good. Always happy to join you guys, and I'm excited for Howard. I don't know why I'm excited for you. We're going to talk about it pretty soon, but last weekend was pretty fun for sure.
Somehow a miracle happened. I don't know what happened, but look, the sun shines on a dog's ass every once in a while, and I just happened to be the dog this past Saturday in a good way. Matt, welcome to the show, of course, once again. How you doing?
I'm doing great. Good to see you. Good to see you, Jacko. It's amazing that we talk before the show. Howard and I look at each other saying, is he going to be here? We go to the montage, and next thing you know, poof, you're here right on time every time. So, yeah, good to see you.
Jackson, for the record, I'm never worried. I know how you roll, man. You know
he's
how it
not
works.
Worried at all. No.
So, of course, I have to talk about the weather for 2 seconds. If you are, and I'm being serious about this, because I don't know if everyone's seen the forecast as we're filming here Wednesday. It does not look good in a lot of parts of the country, and it looks semi-dangerous. I mean, there's ice storm. We talked to our good friend Noah, who could get up to like a foot of snow in Lexington, and they're used to snow, but that is a lot. I guess New York, the East Coast, could get a foot and a half to I see crazy totals. So in all seriousness to everyone, please stay safe this weekend. It's a little chilly here Friday, Matt. They've already canceled school for me, actually. We're going to do remote learning. Get ready for this, Jackson, you SoCal guy. How about a high of -2 with wind chills in the negative 20s and 30s? How does that sound, my friend? That's what we got in Chicago coming up Friday.
It sounds awful. And look, in college, I used to work at a grocery store, and at 5 a.m. every day, I would go into the freezer for 2 hours, and I'd be freezing. But I would be able to leave the freezer and go back to where it was 65 degrees. So I can't imagine.
Yeah. And it still wasn't -30 in that freezer.
No, it wasn't even that cold.
I'm telling you, You go outside, you touch your eyebrow, the thing just cracks off. It's just unbelievable how cold it is.
Well, I'll tell you what was not cold, and someone we know was, I don't know about hot, but let's just say hot enough. Let's talk about the Lecomte contest, guys. We're just going to write to leaderboard right now. There were 5 seats. It was this past Saturday. It was a really good racing day, first of all, Jackson and Matt at Fairground. Shout out to them, of course. We're sponsored by TwinSpires. Lecomte had some really nice fields, had plenty of stakes, and here's the contest results as we see the wonderful TwinSpires, which I'll put up on the screen right now here. The contest, of course, on the right side of the screen, and wow, what happened? Well, what happened was there's a guy, go back to the 175 zoom there. I had taken a little bit of a break, mainly because I just had gotten some very bad luck over the last really month or two, as Matt knows very well. And sort of last-second decision, to be very honest, to play this Saturday. First of all, hats off and congratulations to Frank Mastari. Matt and I know Frank very well. Jackson might not know him personally, but knows the name. Obviously, he won the contest with 22.62, another person that myself and Matt know very well, second and third. What a leaderboard. Wow, I don't even know if I even belong there. Tony Zhou and Chris Larmy, Hall of Fame Chris Larmy. Edward Dykey, we seem to see his name all the time. You notice right away, Matt and Jackson, that Tony and Edward moved up 17 and 8 spots in the last race to get into the money. And there's some guy named Howard Kravitz who finished with 13, 21, 50, finished in the top 5. Quite the story at the end of the contest, which we're going to talk about, Matt, here. But I was fortunate enough to get a seat for the KDBC, which I'm very excited about on Kentucky Derby. Derby Day, Matt.
It was cool during the, obviously when the tournament starts, there's a lot of people that have already won their entries or pre-qualified. You then watch the number of entries go up as the tournament goes on until at some point they close. And they landed on 85, which was the exact number needed for that 5th seat. It's not like you fall off a cliff otherwise. They don't just keep the money. You do get 19/20ths, of the value of it or whatever, but it is kind of cool to get that full 5th seat. And all of a sudden everyone is calibrating for the top 5 spots. Frank obviously did fantastic, but he only makes more money than you because he made $940 more money than you betting. He gets the same prize essentially. So
right.
The whole key here was top 5, and it got awfully tricky. I see you won by $11, and that's that wasn't by accident, I'm sure.
No, not really. I mean, believe me, Matt, as you know, because we were talking a little bit before the last race, that I never wanted to come down to $11. And Jackson, I really didn't think it would be that close, and we'll talk about why. But let's just quickly, Jackson, look at what Frank Vastari did. I'll tell you what, guys, I love the guts with this guy because Jackson, he just fires away first race, $300 win bet, and that was not on a favorite. That was what are we talking about? 6-1 there, that or 7-1. It looks like approximately. What was that? And they just chilled the rest of the way.
6-7,
6 or 7-1, something like that.
Yep.
Look, I was watching the first race. Obviously, I was in there too, and the horse won the first race. Okay, great. No one's gonna have that. And then I refreshed the leaderboard, and Frank shot all the way up to 22 something, and he was done the rest of the day. I think sometimes when you see the big scores, especially early on, those are the tournaments where you can see some really big totals, which I was maybe anticipating to happen, but that never quite came to fruition. And he was good. I mean, they got the last couple of races. I believe he was still up like $700 or $800, so he didn't have to do too much after that. Just one good opinion is all it took.
There you go. Sabi won at 6.6-1. I didn't look at this. Did you guys look at his second entry? Did he do another win bet on another horse in the first race? I don't know, to be very honest.
Good chance of it, but not sure.
I'm assuming he played a second entry. Usually he does.
The way these
Jackson, we'll talk about your play also in just a second, or what you were trying to do. Actually, he did not. But you know what? Maybe he just bought one and figured if he hits, I don't need another one.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, maybe so. And he doesn't know when he has that hit if he's going to have to go back and play again. And so one of the interesting things about this tournament or these tournaments is at some point your number starts to feel good. And he had no idea, he knew he was in a great spot with $2,200, but as the day went on with now 5 spots paying and people start targeting lower. And so at some point, Frank was pretty protected. I don't think at the end there were a lot of people going for his number. And that's the benefit of being on top as you get to the end of these things. Whereas Howard, you were in absolute, I have to be so careful with how much I bet and what's this other person going to do. And there's just so much more game theory and finesse involved. But just, I personally like this get out to the lead and hope they're not even targeting me strategy that Frank had.
By the way, shout out to Emily Gulkson and Nick Tamro, who had a good video and talked about this as well. And Emily's doing a great job with her content for TwinSpires. Tony had to come from behind, guys, and he smashed the last race exact. I'm going to hold off on details before, with Tony, because I'm going to talk about my situation, which relates to Tony's, obviously. But he had the exacta in the Lecomte, the Cherie exacta. That worked out great for him. It actually worked out great for a lot of people, Jackson. We'll get to that in a minute. Chris Larmy hit early and sat, I believe. Yep. He had the exact 5-1 that ended with Capuna, I believe. I'm pretty sure I have double checked.
No, it was he the one horse that he liked was like 30-1. It was a big
Oh, yes, right. That's right. It was the exacta. Yep.
and you had Medora on top, who was favored. So he had
It was right here. Yeah, Cupid's Crush.
Yeah, 27 to 1 shot that he liked, and he went for it. I love it, and he hit, and that was all he had to do.
I've noticed. We'll get Chris on the show at some point. He likes a lot of lone speed, which who doesn't? And I thought some of the lower horses would go with Cupid's Crush. Like, I don't know what Stylish Sue was not going, but it worked out great for Chris for sure. As we go back to the leaderboard here, let's talk about my play quickly. I certainly don't want to make this show about me. It's never about me. It's about everyone who plays in these contests. But we can celebrate the hosts win once in a while. Look, Matt and Jackson, I found a spot early, which is actually not even. Let's see if we can get to it here. Try and do. Okay, I'm not even sure why it's not showing up, which is interesting.
That's interesting.
I had this issue before. It was in race 3. I don't know why it's doing that. It actually happened before one other time. Anyway, I'll just explain what I did. So in race 3 to race 4, I'll put it up on the screen right now. I played a double at all in. I thought it was a good spot. Your namesake's in there, Jackson. Actually, this is a horse that we both talked about, I think, through texting in his debut, I think, at Gulfstream. And his workout report was not great. He didn't look great on video, if you remember this, Jackson. We taught, and the field he came out of, I wasn't sure was great. I actually used 2 horses, gentlemen. I used Arabian Wild also. So I went Jackson Hole and Arabian Wild. So it was 1-6 with the 4 in the next race, who actually I like quite a bit. This was the key to it, obviously.
Yeah.
The number 4 Classic Time. I thought, Jackson, this was a Louisiana bred race, but the main reason I like Jackson Time, the 4 in this race, was twofold. Number one, I thought this horse had major class advantage, was staked earlier in his career. Norm Cassie's having a very good meet. It doesn't show it there, but he had a big day on Saturday. His barn is really getting hot. These works were really good, Jackson, and it was Jose Ortiz. It felt like the right spot. I was against Clear as a Bell quite a bit, the 5, mainly because the 5 was in for 20, Jackson. That was a big no-no for me. I know it was Paco. And the 2 was really the other was taking money, was very meh to me. And I just figured that was the right spot to go with. I don't know if a lot of people really pressed on Classic Time. In fact, I don't think they did, Jackson, looking at the leaderboard. And he won pretty easily. And unlike me, Jackson, it was actually win by 5 and win by a comfortable 2.5 to finish the double. And I just got lucky and it worked out.
Yeah, and I think you brought up a good point in that this was a big card. There was 13 races to choose from. I doubt most people are targeting the Louisiana bred allowance race early in the day. So when you found a spot you really liked and you hit it as hard as you did, I mean, that was good enough. I mean, you got to, I believe, 1,500 is what got you to about 5x. So, I mean, that was perfect.
So thank you. Appreciate that. Yep. I paid $6 and something. So I was at 13 for quite a while, guys, and way too long for my comfort level. Although, Matt, as we talked about, I really thought I was good. There were some upsets during the card. I mean, people are like, wow, that's sort of a low total. It's not that impressive. If you bet the Saturday card, it was pretty tough. There were some upsets, etc. You see a lot of zeros here, and I maybe even show bets. I mean, a lot of favorites lost. The play that sort of disappointed me a lot was I did play into the number 8. That was Just a Touch, right? Just a Touch.
Yeah. And
he didn't break well. I mean, it wasn't anything creative, guys. I put $200 in doubles. You can see with 1, 4, 5. I did the and 9 and 7. So I played the turf race, the big turf race into Just a Touch, and I went 5 deep there, Jackson. So I thought it was pretty wide open, and so I got the front end of it. And Just a Touch was, what was he, 3 to 5, whatever he was. Didn't break great on the outside. Lost by, lost by half a length, and was upset by Accelerise. But Matt, I thought I was, if I could be a bit arrogant, but tout myself, the fact that I only spent $200 to try to get to 18, I thought was smart. It could have gone much more aggressive there. I just didn't feel like I needed to based on leaderboard at that point.
Yeah, agreed. Look, you had an early 2x1. That was critical that it was by 1 so that you were able to get as much onto it as you did. I think what we specifically said to one another at that point was, let's just hope for a bunch of bombs, whether winning or in second. That messes a bunch of people up. And so I don't know that you had an intention of sitting all day, but you sat around for a little bit. You watched a whole bunch of chaos happen.
Yeah.
And next thing you know, a total that you probably didn't think would be good when you got it is starting to feel, well, maybe this is good. And all of a sudden at the end, it gets really strategic about how much money can you bet. You've got great players behind you that are firing. You don't want to bet yourself below the guy behind you. And
right.
That was the key to your victory here, that you did take enough of a chance to advance yourself, but not so much to put yourself behind somebody.
I'm sure you've been in that situation, Jackson. I mean, I made that minor play on a big favorite, and it ended up being more of a blocker move because when he didn't win, yes, I was disappointed, but I immediately said to Matt, you know what, that might not be bad for me, even though I lost, right? Because you figure people are going aggressive there. And then the last race quickly, and we'll move on. I'd love to hear your opinion, Jackson, because you weren't in the mix at this point. So to explain whatever and what I did there, I sat in the last race, and I thought about this a lot. I had 13:21. And Brian O'Kane had 13:10 as we see it. So what you see in 5th and 6th, ladies and gentlemen, exactly what we had going to the last race. And I had my minimums already set, Jackson. Now the irony, Jackson, is I sat, but I really on the show, people can look it up on Thursday. I picked 5-7 in order, and I would have crushed it. The exacta, the minute I thought, Jackson, the 5th place guy was at 1,000 at that point.
Mm-hmm.
And I figured people aren't going to be going after me. I'm already 350 ahead of the guy in 5th to qualify, and I really thought I was safe. And I know this sounds a little bit of second guessing or stinking thinking, but realistically, the only way I could have lost that contest probably outside the top 5, in my opinion, I don't know about you, was if it finished Cherie, because it seemed very logical and could happen. Sure enough, when I crossed the wire, I called Matt. He was busy with family. I texted him. I said, that's the only result that I don't like. And that's what I would have bet anyway, a little bit. Fortunately, it still worked out. But the other thing, Jackson, is if I bet more than $11, and I was wrong, I would have been beside myself and lost $5K. So it worked out anyway.
Yeah, and look, those are tough situations to find yourself in when you're in. I think you were in 3rd or 4th, but not much separation between 3rd and 4th, and then a little bit of a drop to 5th. Because you don't want to bet yourself out of position, like you said, but you also want to be protecting a little bit if the result comes in and was a likely result, which ended up happening when the favorites went 1-2. So it's really tough. It's a fine line to tread, and the line on Saturday was $11, and you were on the right side of it. So
yeah, if I had bet and lost, I would be more upset than I think if I had just sat and lost, to be honest, because I didn't think I needed to bet. Right. So if I bet and was wrong and lost because of it, I would have been more upset than sitting, which I try to be aggressive. But again, Matt, we're going to move on. But I had a $400, $500 lead. I didn't think people were targeting me. It just happened to come 5-7, which a lot of people had, and made it very nerve wracking. But it worked out. So I got a KDBC seat. Happy about that. Thanks. I got a few shout outs from people on X and emails, and appreciate it.
Well, and we do have to disagree there, because I do think they were targeting you. I think the only one they really weren't targeting was Frank. He seemed a little bit too high. But I think for people that are coming from the back of the pack, you can't just target 5th place, because what if a bunch of people hit and now, so you have to pick somewhere in that top 5. And sometimes it is 1st, depending on the prize pool. But I think Frank was probably the only one that people weren't actually targeting. I thought you were in a lot more trouble than you did.
Okay.
And I can add to that, because I was in contention still. I was targeting Chris, who was above you and
Okay,
Ryan.
there you go. What did you do, Jack? What was your last play? Your final push?
My whole day was centered around Thunderbuck. I just said to myself, I only had one entry. I'm like, if this horse wins, I'm going to have a great day. If he doesn't, I'm not. And I think he was last, so I did not have a great day, but it's going to happen.
Do you want me to confirm that he was? But look, we don't have to laud the praise of Jackson Muniz. You're an excellent contest player. It just didn't work out. I actually thought he was interesting. I used him when I picked 5. That was dead on after Accelerize 1. So anyway, fun contest. I'll be shooting for the NHC next. I'd love to get a second KDBC seat, but I'm not going to go crazy. But when I play, it's going to be with sort of focus on the NHC.
Just one more thing to add, just because you kind of brought it up with the just a touch thing as far as blocking people with a likely result. If you were going to bet the last race, I probably would have, if I was in your position, I probably would have bet the 5, because assuming people would be keying on the 5. And that's kind of what ended up happening with, I think Edward passed you, Tony passed you, and I think someone moved up not too far behind you. If they had bet a little bit more, they would have gotten you as well. So.
I don't want to be disrespectful to the Des Moines line makers, but the whole world knew that horse would not be 8-1. They went off at 5-2 and was the favorite, which I thought might happen. So anyway, let's go ahead and move on. Hopefully brighter things ahead for everyone. Now we got an interesting situation, of course. And Matt, did you want to mention anything quickly about the leaderboard right now for the overall as you just move on to the contest?
Let's take our look back for the week. And, we wanted to get to your win first. So we did. Usually we build up to kind of the big contest, but all right, we wanted to get you out of the way. That was a big deal and a nice win. On the cash contest for last week, I'm going to stop listing names here because I don't know if it's Darren or Jeremy. They're doing a really nice job now on Twitter of putting out these blasts that say, holy cow, look what this person did in a $70 contest, 2,400% ROI. And so I'm not going to mention those here. That's a really nice practice. And it makes people feel just fantastic seeing that stuff. So there have been a bunch of really nice scores in some of those smaller cash contests. Yeah. The names that I want to just read off quickly, these are people that took home prizes during the week of $1,000 seats or more. Chris Ambruster, Mike Mulvihill, me a couple times, Stephen Young, Jim Bennis. I want to call him out. He had a big number on his total. Stephen Zaire, Stephanie Davis, Doug Otani, Kevin Lux, Cheryl Nepper, a lot of names that we've heard before. So good job to that group. And yeah, we've obviously already covered the Lecomte, so that takes care of the recap. Talking about the leaderboard for the tour for a second, shouldn't take too long. This is normally a very fast recap. The season-long board barely moved at all. I moved up a teeny bit, but otherwise there was very, very little change. I would say the only meaningful change was in session 4, while 1, 2, and 3 remain the same. Steven Zaire, Ryan Petruniak, and Kevin Lux. I did catch up quite a bit to get, so I was in 4th, but all right, now I'm on their heels a little bit. The other point of note is that Justin Danley is a new name that is clearly going for this. He's had a whole bunch of good tournaments. If you go to the right, Howard, here's how you can tell that he's, if you scroll to the right a little.
Actually, I can't. I gotta zoom in less. I can't physically scroll.
All right. Well, the reason you can tell is they show just to the right of the fact that everyone has 8 tournaments. They show the low score, and he's got a pretty high low score. So that tells me he's going to be going for this. So stay tuned on the tour, but no huge moves. And I'd say, again, with our normal cadence, now that we look forward to the week ahead, there are only a couple of opportunities this week for tour points that you can earn cheaply. Those are Turfway tournaments. I think I've got them down for Friday and Saturday night. But the other opportunities for points this week are in really large tournaments where you're not going to want to churn huge, crazy dollars or play super risky like that. So for tour players, you really only got 2 good shots at it. And it's a really nice slate. If you want to put it up, Howard,
there they are on the screen. If I did that correctly, I toggled award tour points. Looks like
perfect. There you go.
Saturday night Turfway and Friday night Turfway. It appears.
Yes. And otherwise, if you unclick the tour points, you'll just see for the coming week a really nice mix of dollar amounts and racetracks and different sorts of prizes and whatnot. As you get a little lower, that's when you start seeing the bigger tournaments that are coming up. But just like the Lecomte that you won this last weekend, there are similar tournaments coming up. There's the Southwest. So yes, that's the first one coming up on Sunday. We're going to talk about that in a little bit. And then after that, you will see some tournaments, the Southwest and the Sam F. Davis, that are going to start tracking, I think, a bunch of the Kentucky Derby preps. So, all right. So without further ado, we've got a $1,000 contest this coming Sunday. What do you guys think?
Well, before we do that, I want to mention on the bottom, we have a discount code that we've purposely not been saying out loud because we want people to watch, but there's a discount code on the bottom left-hand side of the screen. Shout out to TwinSpires and Duran's O'Callaghan. If you are a new contest player, and by the way, Trish Smith, good luck, because she put on X. Yeah. Trish Smith's been a long-time viewer and supporter of the podcast. Jackson, way before you joined us, my friend, from literally within the first few weeks of our show, or first month or two of our show back in 21, which, by the way, is coming up on 5 years, but I'll talk about that tonight on our other show. It's crazy, Matt. Discount code bottom left for new time players. If you've never played in a TwinSpire contest, look at the bottom left-hand side of the screen. If you're listening to this, go to about the 28-minute mark of the show. It's good until Valentine's Day, February 14th. It's $30, Jackson. I mean, like we talked about, you could practically buy yourself into one of these tournaments and have some fun for the first time. So we encourage people to do that, Jackson.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, 100%. Like tonight, I think the buy-in was $40 for the turf play contest.
There you go.
A good low stakes way to, dip your feet in the pool and see what happens. And, it's very good practice, especially at these lower levels. And you can turn $40 into $800 in one night pretty easily pretty routinely in these smaller contests.
Sure can. Jackson, we've already got 19 people already entered this Sunday. Again, it's Sunday. $1,000 entry, 500 to the bankroll, 500 to the prize at Fairgrounds in Tampa. Again, really good decision by Darren to move it out of New York. They did that before New York canceled. I actually texted him yesterday, guys, and said, have you seen the weather for Saturday or Sunday in New York? Doesn't look good this weekend. Anyway, there's KDBC points, seats on the line as I'm looking at this, just reading. It's the first 8 at the Fairgrounds and the first 9. The Tampa card is not out yet, ladies and gentlemen, so we can't talk about that. It is, let's see, it's going to be 2 NHC seats for sure, and only 2. And then the KDBC looks like, where is it? It's going to be 1 at 10 and then an additional 1 every 31, it looks like, which means, and then additional ones following the 42nd entry. So every 10. So it's 1 for 31 and then every 10. So very simple, Jackson. Even people that are not exactly mathematically inclined, after 31, just keep adding 10, and you can just figure out from there how many entries there'll be. Or sorry, how many seats there'll be. Sorry.
Well, and they do make it easy on you. Once registration closes, they will do the math. They will update the prize pool portion of the screen that you're looking at, and they will say exactly how many seats and how many dollars and all that stuff. But Howard, to your point, this has become, I think, a pretty standard tournament format for them in terms of there being 2 NHC and then a variable number of KDBC seats after that.
Right. Jackson, it's really interesting to see how many, let's get into the races, but it's interesting to see how many entries there are. It is the day after the Pegasus. A lot of people unload on the Pegasus. I'll tell you what, guys, that might be a real good day to try to qualify, Jackson. I don't know how many entries they're going to get. Look, we'd love to have our friends at TwinSpires have 200 entries. I don't think we're going to see the normal. I think it's going to be lower. Although with the weather being shaky throughout the country, people don't have as much to do. There's also NFL going on. There's some weird dynamics, Jackson. I really have no idea how many entries we're going to see on Sunday.
Yeah, tough to say for sure. I do think the Pegasus being on Saturday does affect things, but I also think there's 2 bonus feeders this week for that contest. I believe there's one on Friday and on Saturday, which usually does boost the entries a little bit. And I think there's also 20 already in the field. So
exactly.
I would guess they're still going to get close to at least 50, I would imagine.
Jackson, early in the card, as we look at this is Fairgrounds. We're not going to talk about Tampa Bay because we don't have the card yet. They haven't drawn. 8 races, pretty small fields in general. I mean, the last 4, 9, 8, 8, 9. Those are Those are decent. Ends with a 5 claimer, my friend.
Oh.
Although that is, let's see, 4:15 Central. Tampa Bay is probably going to end, I would say, right around there. We'll have to see. I'm not exactly sure. Any thoughts on the early part of the Fairgrounds card, Jackson?
Yeah, I like the third race a little bit. And the issue is that it is a grass race, and there is rain in the forecast for much of the week out in New Orleans. Now, there's not a ton of rain in the forecast, but it is like 5 days in a row of like just a quarter inch, half an inch here. So I don't know what's going to happen necessarily with the grass racing. But if they are on the grass, the number two?
Global Honor?
Global Honor, yes. Global Honor, number 2, sorry. Is the horse I'd be looking at. Just one of those horses, just my type of horse. Ran last time at 23-1, contested a really fast pace, got the best of the other speeds, and got run down late by a horse that was 1-5. But everything else was going against this horse in that spot, and she was still able to beat the rest of the field. So now she finds herself in a spot, or I think it's a he. I think he finds himself in a spot with less pace than last time. There's no big scary rival that he has to fear in this race. I don't think you're going to get 22-1 again, of course, but I do think you'll be hopefully around 5-2-ish in this race.
What's interesting, Jackson, I haven't looked closely, so I'm not going to push back, but I am a big fan of time form.
Right.
They've got your horse actually as a late pace horse in 5th. I'm assuming you totally disagree with this then.
Well, I think what time form pace projector does is they take multiple races into consideration, not just the most recent race. Because last time was the first time the horse was on the lead. So that's what happened here. I won't be surprised if he's further back than he was last time, but it's good to know that he can be 4th place if the rider so chooses to do so.
It's a good point. And Jackson, I've talked about this ad nauseum on our podcast over the last 5 years. I'm a big fan of horses that change their style and do it effectively. I think Vives is probably going to send here, at least be up front, even though, like you said, very astutely, that in his previous, previous 4 races before the last, I mean, he was sort of a closer. So they obviously have found something here. It's a state bred race. Very interesting. We don't have morning lines. I can't imagine this horse can be that low. I didn't really look at the field. I mean, as I scroll through, he probably is. I mean, we don't know the first time starters. There is some speed from Just Surprise Me. Might be a bit of an issue. But I mean, it's a relatively small. He's going to be one of the top 3 choices for sure.
Yes, agreed.
Yeah. Let's look at some. So that could be a play right there. Race 3. Anything late or the last race, Jackson, that you want to talk about for the big Sunday KDBC and NHC spots on the line? Of course, Tampa also in this contest. We don't have their card yet. Jackson?
Yeah, we'll go to the late double, and I do think it's worth mentioning with this being a higher entry for the contest, bigger bankroll, and it being a Sunday at Fairgrounds, sometimes you can't necessarily play every single double pool just because you can't bet a $500 double into a $7,000 pool without significantly altering the odds. So you can probably play the first double of the day and probably the last double of the day. The rest of them might be treading pretty lightly outside of minimums. So this does feel like when. Go ahead, Matt.
No, good advice. Good advice.
Either fortunately or unfortunately, this seems like there's going to be a very large favorite in the 7th race. If you go the far outside, I cannot recall a turf horse getting an 81 buyer and a $30,000 claimer and losing. Don't see that very often, if ever. And, the horse lost to a first-time starter from the Rob Atras barn that just kind of freaked. So I don't want to be too harsh on him for losing at 1-2. I mean, the horse got an 88 buyer after he established the front end. So it seems like they might have snuck that one to the claim box. Those 2 are just way, way clear of the rest of the field. It just feels like this horse is supposed to win. So, he's going to be 1-5, 2-5. But if you like something in the last race that you really feel really strongly about, then maybe instead of getting 4-1 on the win end in the last race, then maybe you can get 7 or 8-1 if you bet just an ice cold double.
Now, this is important. We could talk handicapping forever, but that's not really what this show is necessarily about. But I want to just mention this for people that respect time form like I do, Jackson. Whenever you say what you just said, which is correct, I always think, Matt, let me look at another speed fig, right? Maybe the buyer was a little bit off. I look at the time form, and the time form was only 94. Now, I don't know the other time forms. We're not going to break down the whole race, but Jackson, as you know, and I think Matt, you may know, time form's usually 15 to 20 points higher. This is only 13. So something's a little bit off. Either time form's a little bit off or buyer's a little bit off. It's just worth mentioning. I'm not saying don't go all in on Denizen. I'm not saying this horse can't win. It's just something to think about, Matt, because one speed fig, there's a lot of speed figs out there, and look, they don't always get it right.
Okay, so for the second week in a row, I'm changing my tip of the week on the fly. and this just illustrates the difference between a handicapper and a tournament player. It's amazing, Howard, that you listened to what Jackson had to say, and you're looking at speed figures, you're looking at this, and I'm thinking, Jackson, be careful. It's the last two races of the tournament. If you lock yourself into a daily double that doesn't pay enough, you could end up watching this last race really frustrated, being alive to a number that isn't good enough to get you a seat. And so my advice in these circumstances, I love your point about taking a low priced horse, juicing up, another kind of lower priced horse to get a double, but you do have to leave yourself some flexibility at the end. You might have to flip to exactas. You can just put the money to win on it if you have to, but I would not fully lock into doubles just to leave yourself the flexibility you might need.
Well, Jackson, before you respond to that, and by the way, I want to be clear to Jackson, everyone, I'm not saying the 8 is a bad pick. I didn't look at the race, Jackson. I'm just going off of what you said. But Jackson, actually what Matt said leads to my last point I want to make with you, and then we can mention the last race. If the pool sizes are lower, and I'm curious if either one of you do this with doubles, whether it's the last race or not. If the pool sizes are lower, do you do that anticipatory, these odds are going down in the double, so I change my Dutching, because even though it says 2 minutes to post and the double's going to pay 10, I really think it's going to pay 8, and so therefore I adjust that? Or you just go by, this is what it says, I don't want to play that game of guessing, Jackson?
Have to overshoot it. And I was actually in that situation this last Saturday. I played a double with Just a Touch and a Thunder Buck, and I was looking at him like, I can probably afford a second horse, but if the late odds went down too much, then I would have been locked in. So I ended up playing to just him, and then I had to pivot to exactas underneath in that last race. So just, if you are going to play a double and you're worried about being too short, just make sure you're way overshooting it. I'd way rather overshoot it and put up a ridiculous number than leave the putt short.
Our good friend Sylvain is going to go to the NHC, guys, and play in the first chance, last chance. We'll get a seat for the Sylvain. I hope to be there, and I'm not there yet. Maybe I'll see you. I know you'll see Matt and a lot of other people. So Sylvain, it's going to be a blast. You're going to have a lot of fun. Let's quickly tell out the last race, Jackson. Let's say that 8 is a sure thing, and you do a 1x1, or maybe you do 1x2. Talk to us about the last race, a 5K claimer. As I look at the numbers, all of a sudden, the people watching and listening just shot up about 25 people, Jackson. We're all waiting with bated breath. Who's going to crush that 5K claimer and go to the NHC, my friend?
Yeah, tricky race. If the outside horse, Western Avenue, runs back to those races from this summer at Del Mar, he's going to win by about 10 lengths. It's quite simple. It's as simple as that, but it is a major, major question whether he's going to be able to replicate that form based on his most recent race, which was pretty iffy. Didn't run great, but now he goes to the Diodoro barn, comes out to Fairgrounds. I think there are reasons to believe he can run better than he did last time. It's just a matter of, do you trust him or not? Because he's drawn outside, he's got the best numbers, there's plenty of pace for him. It's a tough call. I think he probably will be favored, but it's 5K claimers are tough to trust sometimes.
Jackson, I've looked at this race all for 3 seconds, and I will just make one comment about the horse you just mentioned, and you obviously did a lot more deep diving than I did. But Matt, this is what I think. When you see Diodoro dropping down, that's not as big a red flag for me, because he wants to win races, number one, like everyone, but him in particular. The other thing, Matt, that I want to point about this horse, and Jackson makes great points, the horse has been working consistently. Mm-hmm. Now, there was a break from October to January, I'm sure. Well, he ran in November, but this horse obviously had some issues, obviously. But Matt and Jackson, he does have 3 local works, January 3rd, 11th, and 18th. The last one, 28th best of 92. I'm not going to see the work. I'm just going off of what I see on paper. that gives me more confidence, Matt, that the horse, it's not like and I'm assuming you also, Jackson, it's not like the horse has been off the work tab for 5 weeks and etc. I don't know if the horse is going to win, but I do like the local 3 works in a row, Jackson. Does that mean anything to you at all?
Yeah, for sure. It definitely is a sign of confidence because this is a horse that has consecutive layoff lines. So obviously has some issues staying healthy, but the 3 works consecutively definitely gave you a little confidence that they're at least feeling good about the way he's coming into this race.
It is a low percentage jock, but Jackson, Matt's the last race into the 5K claim. I don't think Jose Ortiz is sticking around, or maybe he's in the race. I probably shot myself in the foot. He's probably in the race now, but I doubt he is. I'll look. Go ahead, Matt.
So let's talk for a second about what to do with the uncertainty that you just raised.
So Paco's in the race. Sorry. Paco's in the race. Jose is not. So there you go. Just go outside horse, Jackson, and win the whole thing. Go ahead, Matt.
Easy.
You got the last say.
So you're going to have a low-priced first half of the double and conceivably a low-priced second half of the double. That's okay. But if you're looking at this last horse and you weren't ultra convinced by Jackson's case that he made for it, and you're sitting there thinking, gosh, I don't know that I want to just go single, with a double to end this tournament. Well, this is the whole point about target setting. Have a target you're going for, and simply going into the last race, have a higher amount so that you can afford a second horse in the double, right? You've heard me talk before about don't split it up, that it's too small for each. You should put one in cash if you have to do that. But if you know going into this last race that you don't want to be singled to that horse necessarily, maybe you want to, right, you should therefore have set a higher target for yourself to get to that spot so that you can afford to make the bet you want to make. So it's all about working backwards to get to the place at the end so that you can fire your shot.
That horse also, Western Ave, is also a trainer change. What last question, Jackson? It's we're several days out, but just ballpark guess, what is that double going to pay for $1 if it comes in?
4.
5?
Yeah, it's going to be low. It's not going to be ridiculous. The other thing to consider is that this is a 2-track tournament as well. So this isn't just you're playing a double into the last 2 races. There may be a Tampa Bay race squeezed in between those 2. So that's a second race where there could be a lot of leaderboard change. So it's definitely something to keep an eye on when the entries do come out.
Take a look at our tip sheet underneath the video player in the description. It's been excellent for 5 years. It's very good right now. People can look into it. Again, look below the video player for the tip sheet. Any final thoughts from either one of you? It's going to be a very exciting weekend on a lot of levels, but especially the $1,000 KDBC NEC contest.
They are having qualifiers for the Oaklawn contest next week on TwinSpires, and I believe TwinSpires is hosting that as well. So if that's something you're interested in, definitely check those out. I believe they're on Friday and I think Saturday as well.
Yes, Oaklawn is back racing next. Was it Thursday, Friday?
Friday, yeah.
Friday.
There's like a $3,500 contest on Southwest weekend.
Ooh.
So they're teaming up with them.
Okay. I hear someone might be there in person. Rumor has it. I don't know. We'll see.
I have to go shopping for a big giant jacket. It's gonna be ooh.
All right. Well, anyway, it's been a lot of fun, guys. Really appreciate it. We wish everyone a lot of luck and success. Not if, but when you play in your next TwinSpires contest. Again, go to about the 28-minute mark for free $30. Free $30 if you've never played in a TwinSpires contest. For my wonderful co-hosts, Matt Miller, Jackson Muniz, this has been your host and KDBC qualifier, Howard Kravitz. Thanks for joining us. Episode 11 of The Leaderboard. Crush your bets in the next TwinSpires contest. Take care. Have a great night. Stay warm, everyone. Bye-bye.
Kravitz. If you have not followed his Triple H horse racing podcast, you're missing out. It's one of the best podcasts in the country.